Welcome to my channel, Canny Gaming. My name's Mark. Today we continue to look at the city on a hill, Vranyoskaya. This was a city that was shared with us on the Steam forum. The player had had some difficulty with making their city work, and we offered to have a look at it and share some ideas and information about how we could fix some of the problems. So this is part 2. Part 1, we've already provided 3 fixes. The first of these was to get the distribution office to deliver food to the shopping centre. The second fix was to allow the shopping centre to actually sell food that was being delivered to it. And third fix was to reduce the length of the circular bus lines so that the buses would arrive more frequently at the residential bus stop and take passengers to the shops more often. Today we're going to provide several more fixes, so let's get straight into that.
Now, the fourth fix. The fourth fix is quite a simple one. We've got on those bus lines, we have enabled, let me just go back to them again and you'll see it. We have line spacing enabled to separate them out. Now we lost the line spacing, by the way, because we've changed the route. It'll take a while before the game will work out what the space and length is and the average time for a lap here. We won't see that for some time. So I'll just put these two. I just want to get the 2 windows open and I'll just minimize them. They're there on the screen to come back to. Change them again in a second or two. So the line spacing is retained within the game for legacy purposes because line spacing was enabled by the developers at a fairly early version of the game, and they have changed that. And in the latest update, we now have a new building, and it's available from the road menu as a depot. So you've got your road vehicle depot here, and on the menu now you have a bus end station small and a bus end station large, and these are now the preferred way of doing bus lines. If I just go for the small, that'll be fine for here. We haven't got huge numbers of buses. I can fit that building in here, and what we'll do is just let that build. Actually I've got it set to go to auto construct to use construction officers rather than buy the items. So I'll just change so we can buy buildings and they'll build much quicker so that we actually see it. So that'll build now. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to upgrade that road because it's put a mud road in and it won't make a huge difference, but I'll just put that in as a gravel road. Now, to be honest, it would be nice to have seen here that your main road through the centre of the city would have been asphalt and have lights on it. It's a bit odd to have the main road as just gravel. This is the sort of thing that you might do on a startup city as your first item, but you've gone to the bother now of creating all of these big buildings, and you've got all of these people, they're all walking up and down the road here. See how many people are walking along, and there's no footpaths. They're having to walk on the side of the road. They walk quicker and they walk faster and they walk further, I believe, on asphalt roads with footpaths that are lit up. And they probably particularly walk faster, or get the right word, not walk. They particularly walk further at night, when it's dark, when the lights are on. Anyway, our bus lines. So what is the purpose of this? To make the line spacing work, what was pointed out that people spotted was the buses actually drove slower than they needed to sort of keep the distance between them. So the idea of the bus, of the end line, the end station, is that a bus will pull in there and will wait for a bit of time, and that's what gives the separation. And while they're on the journey, they can go quicker, and it's a much more efficient way of doing it. So let me do it so that we will set it so that let me just think about this. I really would want to do it at the end of the journey, so I will say the water treatment is the end of the line. Right, okay, what I'm going to do is change the way the line is dealt with, and make this more sensible in terms of the order of these things. So I'm going to delete all of the stops, and I'm going to say your first stop is the apartment block. The next one is the shop and recreation stop. The next one is the water treatment, and the last one is the end station. And now save the changes. So that still goes counterclockwise around the city that you already had. And let me just do the same with the clockwise loop. Delete all the stops, and then go to the first stop is the apartment block. The second one is the water treatment. Then it went to the restaurant. And no, you don't need a bus stop to drop people off. You can drop people off at a building directly if that building has a parking space. And then to the end line. Save the changes. Okay, so now we have two bus routes, and using the end line station. So that's my next fix on this. That those bus routes now are much more efficient using the end station. Now, the other benefit of the end station is that an end station can act as a refueling station. So at the minute, if they're in the middle of the traveling around between taking passengers on a bus journey, at any point they can get to the say, oh, I'm running out of fuel, I'll need to go to a gas station. And they'll just drive off and find the nearest gas station and then come back. What will happen here is they will fill up while they're parking here at the end station every time on the end of the journey. So this building has not by default got auto fuel on. I'm going to set it to auto fuel, auto purchase fuel. 10 tons is fine. And so there's fuel there. So what we should say fairly soon is some of these buses should actually pull into the end station, and that is where they will refuel in future. They won't wait there long, and it won't cause a problem. Visually, I can't see a big issue. See, that one there has just got to the end. It's pretty much at the end of its journey, and it has now gone into the end station. So I believe its next stop after it's been in the end station, I don't know if you noticed there, can you see the fuel dial here? As soon as it stopped, and it only stopped for a fraction of a second, that filled up completely. So it's now full of fuel, and with that amount of fuel it can probably go the full journey around the route without running out. So that's another important part here. You don't want very long bus routes. You want bus routes that it can get round the route and just fill up at the end station every time. So that's my next stop. That's so that's going to be a lot more efficient. Now, I mentioned this road, that it would be nice to have asphalt, and when we scroll up this road, what we see is that there's, in the middle of it, there's what appears to be a bit of mud road in the centre of our city. When we scroll up here, we see again another situation where we've got mud road here as well. Now, the roads are not completed here. There's still a bit of construction work going on, You know, I'm a little surprised you finished everything in the city but not finished your roads into the customs house. It's not that really which is causing the traffic jam, by the way. It's just the amount of traffic here is causing the issue. But that is not a mud road. That is actually a bus stop. If I click on it here, we'll see that that is a bus stop. And when you get it up close, you see that it's a bus stop that's made of a mud road and mud paths on either side where people can stand. There's a sign to say this is a bus stop, and there's just bits of wood. Now you see in the name of it, it's free bus stop, and these are new buildings that have been provided again on the road menu for citizens. We've got a vanilla bus stop that's been in the game for some time. A vanilla trolley bus stop. We've got a vanilla tram stop, small and large. And we've got this other building which has just appeared in the latest update, which is a bus stop brackets free. Now this was provided basically for realistic mode, but there's several parts of realistic mode which you see even if you haven't got realistic mode enabled. So this is one of them. These bus stops are now available to you for free to be used. If we read the text that comes up when we hover over it, we see bus stop brackets free, stations for vehicle loading, unloading 2. In other words, only 2 buses can stop at these at any one time. And passenger capacity, 100 passengers. Now, your first reaction might be, well, that's fine, 100 passengers, what's the problem with that? I don't have many people waiting at this bus stop anyway, it's not an issue. And it isn't. But these bus stops are provided basically for starting a completely new city where you've got nothing, and you've got to have a way of bringing in foreign workers from outside your city. So they have to have somewhere where they can get off a bus, and you provide them a free bus stop. So, you know, you'd be in catch-22. If you had to build a bus stop, even if it only took a couple of work days, if you didn't have people somewhere where you could bring the workers in to build that bus stop, you'd be stuck. So the developers have given us a free bus stop. I would recommend you do not use it. Now, there's a limit. If I try and put another one down here, you'll see it says bus stop free, count 5 of 15. What's that telling me? That already there is, I think, 4, and this would be the 5th bus stop in the city, which is being used as a free bus stop. So all of the bus stops in the city are free. And come back down the hill and go to our bus stops here, the water treatment. Again, you see this ugly arrangement. I'm sorry to have to say that, but yes, it is ugly, where it's, you've got a gravel road, and then it suddenly becomes this mud area where people are standing in the mud, getting off, and the buses are parked in the mud. And similarly here, you've got your bus stop there is, again, another one of these free bus stops. The only nice place where people can get off and on a bus was when you've used the restaurant, the parking space of the restaurant, to drop people off. You didn't need a bus stop there. But in fact, I think up at the top of the hill, yeah, you've used a proper bus stop there. You haven't used a free one there. You've used one of the vanilla bus stops. I think that's one of the vanilla bus stops. So I don't know why you didn't use it at the other places. If you used it at the start of the game when you're first building this city, it's possible you did that way. Then at some stage you need to come back and replace them. Now I'm going to replace just the one in the center. I'm not going to replace the others. Now, why am I going to do that? And this is actually at the core of your problems. This is what's killing your game. And when we click on here, we see that there are 642 people waiting at this bus stop. Now, the pop-up had told us that this bus stop has a capacity of 100. So nobody, there are 642 passengers. And what we get is this strange result is, this is because, I wonder if people are even, right, say that bus arrived with 80 passengers. Let me just see what happens when the next bus arrives. Sometimes the buses arrive. Look at all of the people going here. There's even more now. 700 people. All these people arriving sometimes with the buses with passengers already on board, who then are getting off here and adding to the numbers. Now, we can't stop people getting off, but it will come to a point where it'll say, look, nobody else better come to this bus stop because it's already over 100. And I think that's what's happening. But certainly what is not allowed here is it's not allowing any workers at all. There's not a single worker at this bus stop. Or there's one. Well, that's not enough. You got hundreds of people who want to go to work and they can't go to their work on the buses because there's no space for them. So we need to sort this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I don't want anyone waiting here. No workers, no passengers, no students, and no tourists. And why am I going to do that? Because I want to make them all go away. Eventually they'll give up and no new people will come. Right. I think they've nearly all gone. Come on, the last of yous. Why are you holding out? It's still one person. Right, okay. Delete. Yes, really demolish it. I really do want rid of it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little time lapse while I get rid of this. Okay, so I have a new bus platform, not a bus stop, a bus platform. And this bus platform allows up to 500 people. Now, I've used a mod design. You could use one of the vanillas. There's a smaller one, bus platform, that has this sort of arrangement where it has a road in and can pass through. So traffic can go all the way through this bus station, this bus platform. And you know, the big one that holds 500, that's vanilla, doesn't have that feature. So you could put it off to one side so that it's not blocking the traffic. The traffic can still drive through. And but yeah, I'd have to move your lane and statues. So I've kept your arrangement pretty much of your footpaths and your statues, and I've dropped in this that then allows 500 people. Now, apart from the fact that it's a bit nicer, it's you know, it's nice, a bit of road, and it's got 4 parking spaces for buses. You see that it has a a roof where people can actually go under when it's raining, and a nice place where they can stand, and a little bit of a building. And you can imagine that's somewhere where people can go in the morning and they're going to go on their way to work, and they can pick up a copy of a newspaper or something like that. So look how many people we've already got waiting here. 272 and more arriving all the time. So when we get to these sort of ridiculous numbers, we've gone over the limit again with this, but our buses are going to be able to hopefully sort that out. Now I need to change my bus routes because the game does not understand that I've replaced one bus stop with this bus station. So it's one of the things that when you upgrade buildings, it'll treat them as a completely new building, and it doesn't matter if you've built it at the same place. Okay, so there's the lines also fixed to follow to use the new bus station, the bus platform. So this is another fix that's absolutely necessary to give the capacity for the buses. Now, as I said, I think this will still struggle, and you might need to add another couple of buses onto this route, but I think that would work fairly well. My next fix is I'm going to do something a little bit odd, and what you're going to see again, a little short time lapse, and I'm going to put in a new road. Okay, so there's the new road. So why have I done that? Now I've put it in as an asphalt road with the lights. As I said, I think that would make look better on your main road as well. That's not really the major issue here. What I want is a road so that I can build things here. We've got all of this space between your. So these are your heating pipes that are coming down the hill from the heating plant to this. Is that a pump or a heat? There's a heat exchanger. Okay, so you got a heat exchanger for the winter, and the heating comes down these pipes. So we've got this space here next to the residential area, and what I'm going to do is, this is the biggest fix, and what I'm going to do is go to the residential menu and go to the food and shopping, and I'm going to go to the shopping centres rather than the shops, and we get a small shopping centre. I think you've got one of those already. A small store, I think you've got one of those already, and we've got a shopping centre, and these are big buildings, and I'm going to turn that round there, and we have just about enough space. I need to flatten the terrain. I hold my left mouse button to do that. That's it. Didn't need much flattening. You know, we're on a slight slope up the hill from left to right, but the ground is fine for you know, you don't need to do lots of terrain changes here to get your buildings in. So let that build, and I'll just give it a second while that's happening. I'm going to put in some paths so that we immediately see changes. I haven't put it in very straight. I could have done a better job than that. It's a little rushed. Okay, so there's our shopping centre building away now and the paths around it. I don't know if you want to look up at the top here. We're now at 5,300 people. And I think weren't we over 7,000 originally? We were certainly over 6,000, and I'm fairly sure it was over 7,000. Just shows how many people have left in the short period. I haven't had the game playing the whole time. I've paused and then run it a little bit, and paused and run it a little bit. So here is our new shopping centre. Now, at first, what we're going to see is there's nobody shopping here. So let us just run the game, and you see there should be people on the footpaths. Yeah, see, there's people on the footpaths here, and they're walking past the supermarket, the shopping centre. They're not going to the shopping centre. Why is that? Okay, we've got auto purchase on, so we've got some food, clothes, electronics, and meat within this shopping centre, but they're not coming here. Now, there's no problem with electricity, no problem with water. I didn't actually check them before I built the building, but I was fairly sure I was within the range of your water substations, your powers, and your heating and everything. You know, they're all within range. It's no problem at all. We're just using the facilities you've already put in for the residential buildings. The problem is there's nobody working here. So it tells you there are no or fewer sellers than required. No sellers, nobody selling. So there's food on the shelves, but nobody working here to sell it to people. People are not allowed to come in the shop unless there's people working here, because they can't come in and help themselves. So what we need is some people to work here. Now, the problem you've got is that if I look at this building, at some stage, you've tried to manage where people work, and you set add buildings where citizens should go, and this is to go to work, not to go on their free time, but they go to work at the school, kindergarten, orphanage, medical, university, fire station, or the carousel. So you've tried to force it so that people would work at the buildings that are within walking distance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. There's no need for it. People will randomly find themselves a workplace within walking distance. And if they can't find one within walking distance, they'll go to the bus stop and get on the bus stop and go to work. So remove all of those. Now what will happen? What we've got is people walking up the path, and click on the shopping centre. Now we've got people who have gone to work here. 3 people have gone to work. And as soon as we've got people who are working here, now we get shoppers. And we don't just get a couple of shoppers, we get 50 shoppers, 60 shoppers. And we've got over 100 people queued up outside the shop now, all waiting to get in the shop, so that as more sellers arrive, more people to work here, we've got hundreds of people all waiting for food. Now, this is because, I've pointed out, you've got literally, you've got a population of, or we had a population, look, already in just those few seconds that I've been talking again, we've gone below 5,000 people. So we've got, say, 5,000 people, of which 4,500 are not getting food. So immediately they realise, oh, there's food in this new shopping centre. Let's go there, guys. Let's go and get fed. Yes, they're desperate for food, and they're queued up. So what we've done is we've provided food within walking distance of all of these 8 buildings. Now, the 9th building here still are not going to get food. I've blocked that access. And what I'm going to do is, of course, we've got loads and loads of free room up the hill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move them into these other buildings. Okay, that's basically them all removed. There's just a couple of people left here. I don't know why there's still people holding out. I wish you would all leave, because I can't demolish the building until they've all left. There we go. So I wonder if those 3 people are somewhere outside of the building, and anyway, they've gone. The building's gone, to prove my point. So in that change, I moved all the people into these other buildings, and what I want to do is get back to the point where everyone is living in this residential area in the centre of the town, and to prove what we can make this design work. Now, we have number of passengers waiting, 284. We still have a lot of people here, but that's manageable. That's far better than it was, but we've got no workers. So what's going on here? So remember, most of these buildings have set all of the settings of where people should go to work. So I've freed up this building here so that we would get some people at least would go to the shopping centre. And I believe the other people are now looking for work. They're probably all going to the hospital and the fire station and things like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the other buildings. I could do it with all, but I'll just do it with this, and I'm going to say I don't want you to work at these buildings at all. I'm going to pretty much let you decide where you want to go to work, except, I'm sorry, but you can't walk to work. I'm going to make you go on a bus. And so they will go to the bus stop and wait for a bus that will take them to work. There we have workers waiting, 12. $30 odd. So did some people get on that boat? Yes, they did. So you see that these buses that are on the circular lines, the counterclockwise and clockwise routes, actually they're taking some workers down the hill to work at the restaurant and the supermarket and things like that as well. But what I really want is the other line. So where's the other line gone to? The other line, did I change it? The border run? Right, so here's the border line. This is the one, right, that I said I would sort out, and I haven't yet. So what I want to do is remove all of its stops, and I want to say, I want you to go to the apartment blocks, and then I want you to go to the power plant. When you come back, this is a little bit inefficient, but I'll make you go to the end line, tick. So we've got 2 buses there that are doing that route. And sorry, what I want to do is, before I forget, the border run, one of the important aspects here is when we get to the drive-through bus stop, which I need to do, I need to rename this. So I should have done that before. If I get the spelling correct, apartments. Bus platform. Now we've got loads of workers now, 86, that's great. And we've got plenty of space now that either some of the passengers that were getting on the more frequent bus rides, or they're going to the new shopping centre. Now, what I want to do, in addition, the route is fine, but we can make that a bit more sophisticated, because when we go to the apartment block here, the bus platform, passengers shouldn't get on, because they should understand there is no shops or anything up this hill at the power plant. But I'm going to say to them, yeah, no students, no passengers, and no tourists, just workers. And I don't want don't load at the apartment block. I just want to load. So at the apartment block, just load workers. When you get to the power station, unload everyone. Nobody is going to be loading here. There's nobody living up there that we need to load them on. So we're going to unload everyone, save the changes, and that's done. So what we want to see now is a bus that comes around here and is following this route. Now they'll have been a bit disrupted by the fact that I've changed the line that they're assigned to. Can I see a bus? I might time lapse it here. Yeah, I mentioned about the fact that you've got to pass through here, but of course, look how busy it is. We've got buses coming in and out. So in fact, an arrangement where your bus stop, your bus platform is not on the main road might have actually been a bit better. Look, we've got things like ambulances here as well as other trucks and things. So there's a bus. Click on that bus, and that bus is, yes, it is going to the power plant, and look, it has 30 workers on board. So I'm going to follow that bus, unpause, and it has 30 workers, goes up here past the prison and should turn to the left. Yep. Comes down past I think that's the secret police, into the bus stop, and there we go. 30 odd people delivered and have got off. Now they haven't all gone to the power plant, by the way. You saw some of them go off to the left, the footpaths to the left, and some have gone off to the power plant to the right here. What's to the left would allow them to walk to the heating plant. They've got this nice bridge that's been built that takes you over the top of the heating pipes. You could of course put the heating pipes underground and then kept the footpath at ground level, but I quite like that. That's a nice touch, and you've managed to get the footpaths to go underneath the conveyors. By the way, your conveyors are very good, that you've managed to get these conveyors in to go to the aggregate storage and then split off, and you've got a road that goes underneath the conveyors and everything. So that's good. So now what we've suddenly got is instead of sort of 5 or 6 people working at the power plant, or sometimes less, look, we should have about 15 or 20 people turn up for work. So that's a lot better. So we're now producing a reasonable amount of power. You can see we're using up coal here. And our heating plant has been working anyway, but we've got a lot more people working there. We're getting towards, it's 25th of June. We haven't got an awful long time before it'll become winter. The temperature will drop. We'll need people here. We don't need them here at the minute, actually. You don't need them in the summer. They're wasting their time. But they've got nothing else to do anyway. But I wanted to prove a point that you can get people to work on a bus. It absolutely does work if you set the bus lines up in the correct way. And if you needed more people here than 11 and 25, what we need is maybe more buses. Another 1 or 2 buses on this route might be enough. So here's another bus coming up the hill, turning right. You see it down here with its lights on. It's dark now, it's night time. And again, got a lot of people just got off the bus. That looked like to me about another 30 people have come up on the bus. And the bus then, instead of going back the way it came, realizes it can scoot around this other road, around the edge of the city. It's not carrying people, I think, at the minute. Yeah, there's nobody on board, and all it's doing is going back to the end station. Now look, we've got a bit of a traffic jam there. Well, that's a bit disappointing how bad that is. So, okay, I think we might have had to consider a big end station to deal with that, because I think the big one has an entrance and an exit. Let me just see that. It's under depots. That's the large one. No, the large one has more stopping spots, but it still only has one entrance. So it's not the stopping spots inside. They're not having a problem getting inside it. It's just all of the people walking down the hill here and other traffic in the way of the buses. Now, you see that lorry stuck there, getting it in the way of each other. So we do have too much traffic here. So, you know, the one way to deal with this is to actually have a bus stop which is just for workers. It is absolutely a right way to do that, and have a bus stop, you know, use a fairly decent sized bus stop. But because of the workers, we're not having hundreds and hundreds of workers. As long as we don't go over 100 or so, you could have the bus stop for the workers to be somewhere out here next to the shopping centre, so that the buses for the workers going to the power plant are not getting in the way of the other buses. So a bit better design, I think, would improve this. How many people have we got in this city? We've got 706, 3,706, 3,698. We've still got people leaving our city. Why are you leaving our city? Because you should all be getting fed now. I might need to give it a little bit of time. 3,660. Still people losing. So on our distribution office, what we need to do is tell the distribution office, by the way, that we have added in the supermarket, the shopping centre. So that adds it down at the bottom of the list, and of course we're going to allow it to deliver food, clothes, and electronics. Now, I took vehicles out of the distribution office to prove a point that this distribution office did not need all of those vehicles. And you can say that actually the two vehicles are out and about at the minute, but that's not a problem. There's enough of them to deliver to this number of shops and restaurants. They're fine. If anything, it's because they're getting stuck up the hill at the customs office. And you've got another line, which is a line for refrigeration. And it's this line which delivers your meat. So this line has 4 refrigerated lorries, and I'm going to go to one of them, and I'm going to tell it to go to the distribution office. And that'll maybe take a little while before it gets there. For the others, I'm going to tell it to say, go to the depot. Now, in the distribution office, the game now understands that we, as well as the 2 covered hulls, we've got a refrigerated lorry, and it gives you the option to pick up meat from the customs house. So I'll do that, and then I'll say, okay, now the orphanage, we can deliver food, clothes, or meat. Yeah, all 3 of them, fine. The grocery, we can deliver food or meat. Yeah, both of them, fine. Small shopping centre, food, clothes, electronics, or meat, yes, all 4. Restaurant, food and meat, yes. And shopping centre, clothes, food, electronics, and meat, Yes, all of them. So the game will understand the distribution office can deliver all of these goods to all of these places without actually adding more items onto the distribution office. All we've had to do is tick the option to pick up meat. And we have 3 vehicles, 2 covered holes and 1 meat. And I think that is absolutely more than adequate for this city. That's enough. Now, what you've also got, and I'm going to just quickly drop down another depot, because I think we're running out of space in that depot. So I'm going to put another depot in, say here. Just want something on the map where I can send building. I won't build it there. Just give me somewhere where I can build it. There we go. Now you've got in your water treatment, you've got a line, and at the line it says, don't leave the water treatment centre until you have fully unloaded. And we have 4 covered holes here. And I'm going to tell you to go to that new depot. Go to the new depot. It's a long way away, but I can just about see it. Hidden behind the university. And all I want to do is get rid of the lorries that are sitting here. Each one of these is full of chemicals, and it's not necessary, because all I need to do is say go to the distribution office and say, wow, okay, we've got a couple of covered holes here. Covered holes can hold chemicals as well as food and electronics and clothes. Yes, pick up chemicals from the customs house. And this time I do need to add a new connection in. Added connection to the water treatment. And what we'll now get is the distribution office will also realize when the water treatment plant becomes low on chemicals, and it will send a truck to the customs house and fill up the chemicals. And this distribution office is fine. Look, it's got the commands to do this, but it's not busy where all of the vehicles are in use all the time. So as soon as you say that we've got at least 1 covered hole, remember we've only got 2 covered holes here, and originally this had 5, and now we've got the covered holes also dealing with chemicals and dealing with food for this shopping centre and the big new shopping centre. So that's a much more effective use of our distribution office. We could even get this distribution office to distribute full fuel. And we have got a pretty inefficient system of delivering fuel. We've got fuel tankers that are running back and forward all the time from the customs office to these freebie fuel things. Right, I'm going to fix that, and I'll do another time lapse that they'll fix this issue. Because again, this is crazy. So the distribution office now, what we want to do is load fuel at the customs as well. And if we go back, we've given an instruction, the new gas station. And I think what we should say is that cistern should immediately come out of the distribution office. You should, let me just go here, and if we open that window, I see it's got quite a lot of auto purchase. Got that right? Yes, because it can pick up oil, bitumen, or fuel from the customs, and I've set it to go to fuel and then unload fuel. Why aren't you actually doing it? Okay, right, okay. These trucks, I'd forgot about this. This is another problem with this city. These at some stage had picked up oil. Now, when they're on a line telling them, pick up fuel at the customs house and then drop off fuel, pick up fuel and then drop off fuel. If at any point there's a mistake being made and they've picked up the wrong thing, then they're stuck. So at some stage they've been to the customs house and they picked up oil, probably the very first time they ever went. And every single time after that, they could not, because they couldn't drop the oil off at a gas station. Gas station will not accept oil, it'll only accept fuel. Then they never emptied when they went to the gas station, and when they came back to the customs office, they couldn't fill up with fuel because they're already full of oil. So that needs to go. Now what we'll find is that it should say, yes, okay, I can now send you on a journey to go and get fuel and fill up the gas station. And let's be clear about your auto purchase. All we'd need to do, for instance, is add and say bus end station and have that deliver fuel as well. So the distribution office is perfectly happy to do that for you. Say, yeah, fill it up to 50%. And one tanker. We're not far away from the customs house. One is absolutely perfect. Now the other line that you've got here, you've got a line where you've got 4 dumper trucks, and those 4 dumper trucks are going back and forward, taking coal from the customs house down to this aggregate unloading place. It's then put into aggregate storage and then distributed off to the power plant. They're fine. The line sends them back and forward all the time. You don't need a distribution office. That works okay, and it works okay because coal is being consumed the whole time. If this was filling up, I would question about having a line, but it isn't. You see, it remains actually fairly steady, and if it got less, then you might need more dumper trucks or bigger dumper trucks, but at the minute that's fine. There's another dumper truck just arriving. So I think you've got the choice between lines and distribution office. It's not always very clear that a distribution office is better, but I usually prefer them. Other people don't. I think you make your own mind up.
Okay, we'll cut the video there. We've had a very useful session today. We've installed a new end station for the buses that make them more efficient. We've created a brand new bus platform that holds up to 500 people in the middle of our city to replace the freebie bus stop. We've built a brand new shopping centre right next to the residential buildings to allow people to get food and meat within walking distance of their homes. We've created a new bus route to take workers to the power plant. We've delivered meat and chemicals by the distribution office rather than having their own separate lines. We've built a new gas station to replace the freebie gas stations. We've delivered fuel to that gas station and to the bus end station by the distribution office. And finally, we have removed the oil and bitumen from the cisterns so that those trucks could take fuel. So a number of fixes, some of them small, some of them quite radical and large. Most importantly was, of course, providing the shopping centre within walking distance, so that hundreds of people would be fed with food and meat and not have to get on the buses. But our buses are an awful lot better than they were. Big improvements there. So we'll continue in a part 3. We are still not finished with this city. There's still a little bit more to do. Most things are working now, but we've still got dropping of population. Spoiler alert, that will resolve itself very shortly. In part 3, we will see the population stabilise. So that's great news. You'll have to wait for that episode to be produced before you actually see that happen. I'm enjoying looking at Vranyoskaya, and I hope you are too. I hope you've got something out of the video. If you've liked it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. You will get automatic notification when further parts are published. My channel's Kind of Gaming. My name's Mark. I'm out of here. Thanks.